Hello and welcome to this week's recap of the top news stories from the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Coming up, IMF commends government for policies that promote economic growth, government considers a pension plan for auxiliary workers, and draft federal youth policy being prepared for cabinet review. These stories and more are next on the SKNS Week in Review for the period May 13 to 19, 2017. I'm Ian Richards. The International Monetary Fund recently concluded its Article 4 consultation on the St. Kitts and Nevis economy and gave glowing reviews, stating that notwithstanding a difficult international environment, St. Kitts and Nevis' economy is expected to grow again in 2017 for the fifth consecutive year. The multilateral agency also highlighted that although the economy grew by 3.2% in 2016, it is still exceeding the average growth rate in the ECCU region. Commendations were also given for reducing the public debt to GDP ratio and strengthening the citizenship by investment program. Now, the consistent growth of the economy has produced surpluses that government can use to improve the standard of living for residents. One group set to receive special attention is the government auxiliary employees, previously referred to as non-established workers. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris convened a meeting on Wednesday to devise a pension plan to benefit the category of workers who are not entitled to a pension upon leaving government.
It is about as good time as any that we try to expedite the processes to bring this formally into play. And the Cabinet is anxious that we are able, by September 1st, to be able to make a firm determination in terms of an implementation date. So we have to look at the body of non-establishment workers that are on record at this time and how we can bring them some justice in terms of their expectations that they would have had a pension, and in this respect be in equality, if you will, in terms of the treatment vis-a-vis themselves. In other words, they would have been, for practical purposes, in terms of an entitlement to pensionable benefits, no difference between themselves and those hitherto considered established. Their situation, in my view, is even more serious because, as we understood it from about 2012, the government then had bring an end to the payment of their holiday pay.
The Ministry of Education continues to upgrade the physical infrastructure of schools and building the human capacity of the staff and faculty. On Wednesday, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, William Hodge, shared a bit about staff development.
We have done some training for our principals. This training was done at UE Center Open Campus, supervisory management for our principals. The second batch have written their exams, so it's very serious training. They have written exams, and later in the year we're going to acknowledge what they have accomplished. We intend to do training for our deputy principals, and we're even extending that training to senior teachers who have an interest in becoming school administrators. We want to move away from having to appoint principals at short notice, as well as appointing principals without formal training.
Mr. Hodge also shared about beefing up security at schools to ensure that the environment remains appropriate for child-friendly learning. At secondary schools, there are 2 security guards on duty, and every student is searched before being allowed on the compound. Engaging young people in more positive initiatives in order to shape them into more productive citizens is the basic intention of the draft federal youth policy. Special advisor in the Ministry of Youth, Vernon Connor, reported on Monday that the document is going through its final stages of proofreading before being presented to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Youth, the Honorable Sean Richards. The Minister is then expected to present the draft policy for review at Cabinet. The group of ministers meeting, who will peruse and give feedback before it is introduced in the federal parliament for debate. Tuesday marked the start of a 3-day workshop which equipped participants with innovative integrated environmental assessment tools to protect and sustain local biodiversity and highlight their responsibilities under multilateral agreements such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and other environmental agreements. Minister of Environment Honorable Eugene Hamilton said that St. Kitts and Nevis' government is committed to environmental protection and listed efforts by the government to promote such.
National strategies for improving environmental management include the repositioning of the Department of Environment, strengthening of our environmental legislation in the form of a revised National Conservation and Environmental Management Act, the passage of the Fisheries, Aquaculture and Marine Resources Act, which was passed in January of 2016, the establishment of a system of marine and terrestrial protected areas and relevant management framework, and environmental monitoring and pollution control.
The Department of Labor also held a workshop this week. The topic was customer service. The internal training saw staff learning valuable lessons from Avanis Jeffers Thompson, who is certified in the field. Labor Officer Lucinda Francis noted that the training was timely as the department seeks to broaden its interaction with clients and stakeholders. And finally, on Thursday, the Ministry of Tourism and the Pediatric Assistance League of St. Kitts and Nevis, or PALS, were the beneficiaries of monetary contributions from the Christoph Harbour Foundation. The check presented to the Ministry of Tourism was for sponsorship of the May 25 National Youth Tourism Congress competition, while the donation to PALS facilitates overseas medical care to local children in need. Giselle Matthews is the president of PALS.
We've been extremely busy this year so far. We've had 19 cases that we have assisted with since January. And just to give the public a bit of insight, we have a case at the moment of a young man who they may be aware of was involved in a car accident, required neurological intervention, and we assisted with the doctor from Jamaica to come into St. Kitts to be able to assist in the neurological care that he required. He's 8 years old. We also have a case of a young lady in the UK who has been there since May of last year, and she has a case of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and so we are trying to assist with that. Now that is a major case, and that will require a whole different area of funding, but we have been assisting to send some funds overseas so that she can continue with her care.
And that's all for this week's edition of the SKNAS Week in Review. Have a good one.